Okay, oops. There we are. Okay, so here we are back in the podcast. We got Zach as Raziel something, Juan playing level 20 Cleric, and Jordan, who will be the star of the show as Stupid Nerd Man. Alright, welcome to the Nerdcast.
I feel like I'm watching a Michael Bay movie right now.
Alright, let's get into it. What were we going to talk about? The World of Warcraft thing. The tower that you were telling me about?
So, as some people might be aware of right now, World of Warcraft Shadowlands is on sale, so I'm sitting here trying to convince these two to get back into it. And I know these guys are suckers for roguelikes, so I'm going to talk about Torghast for a little bit.
It sounds fun.
It is. It's really fun, just especially since they were smart and they allowed you to either do it solo or you can do it with friends. So the long story short of it is, you need a legendary item to boost various aspects of your class if you want to be competitive in either PvP or PvE, whatever you choose to focus on. And this is how you get it. After you go through the main story, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you basically go down to the afterlife and do a bunch of stuff and figure out there's this giant tower where they keep people locked up, and there's this guy in there that makes the legendaries, and you help him figure out who he is, and he basically lets you start building them. So then, in order to build the legendaries, you have to do layers of these dungeons called Torghast. Well, the prison itself is called Torghast, but everyone just refers to it as Torghast rather than some other weird title or some shit. But what makes it interesting is it's not just like a typical dungeon where you're just tanking spanking the whole way through. Basically, right as you come in, there'll be like a little ball of darkness that once you interact with it, it gives you a random power. And these random powers can do an array of things, from more basic stuff like, you just get like some more mastery or more crit, or more interesting things. I only really have Death Knight as a perspective, so I'm going to list off some of those. Like one of the ones is like, it's called Skull Bloomer, and it basically makes my resource spender do 75% more damage. Pretty basic one, but then there's more interesting ones like, whenever I activate Lichborn, I'll start shooting death coils at everything around me and myself.
That's pretty cool.
One of the coolest ones I found is it actually turns my Death Gate into like a cooldown ability. So instead of it just being, I open a Death Gate back to the Death Knight place, instead I actually summon one of the freaking horsemen to come in to help me fight.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I saw.
So like every class gets like little flavorful abilities like that, and they all seem to have just an array of different cool things to really mix it up. And after a certain point, you really start to just feel like crazy powerful.
That sounds pretty cool. Like the roguelite aspect especially, because, me and Zach play roguelites pretty much all the time.
Yeah. So I was saying this is like right up your guys' alley.
Right.
I know right now they basically have 8 different floors that you can go through for, I don't know how many different dungeons there are, but there's a good handful. And they're also talking about how they're eventually going to make an endless mode. So I have no idea what the rewards and stuff will be for that. But it sounds interesting, especially since by the time I finish a floor, I basically have a bunch of cool powers. I'm like, man, I wish I could keep going.
Yeah.
But you kill the last boss, and then you get your currency to upgrade your legendary, and then you're done.
That's always my problem with roguelites that don't let you just keep cycling, is you end up getting all this great stuff where you're killing everything instantly, and then it just has to stop, and then you have to start over. And I get that you don't want to just feel overpowered the entire time you play for 3 hours or something like that, but at the same time I kind of wish I could run around with all that shit I have all the time a little bit more, like in Risk of Rain. You get to keep cycling if you want. You don't have to go fight the boss yet, but it Gunfire, you have to, after the third world, all of a sudden it's over,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say one of the roguelikes that I wish was multiplayer, but I kind of understand that it's not, and I still enjoy it. He's Ziggurat. In a lot of ways, Gunfire is sort of like the multiplayer version of Ziggurat. Like it's staged very similarly. They have kind of similar themes, and with the difference that Ziggurat gives you a new weapon every floor instead of random drops.
Right.
Ziggurat was like incredibly fun, and I'm glad that they have a Ziggurat 2, but I know that single player too, so like when it comes out, like I'll probably get it and then play the shit out of it for a week, and then probably drop it for a while.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. We play it, get into it like really hard for a while, and then we stop playing it for like a year, and then maybe play it again after like a year and a half.
It's also like the either the progression or the achievements that are tied to actually like completing runs and stuff that like can encourage me to keep playing.
Right, yeah.
And like Ziggurat had so many like good achievements and weapons, and the gunplay was so much fun that like I wanted to try and beat it with like every class, even though I only beat it with like I think 3.
Well, I didn't actually.
I like the roguelikes that let you kind of carry some stuff in between runs better than the ones that are like, nope, you have nothing. Good luck.
Well, that's the difference between a roguelite and a roguelike. Like a roguelike, you get nothing between each run. Every time you die, that's it. But a roguelite, you get to like spend. You usually get like gold or souls or something after each run, and that you spend to increase your skills and stuff. Like how the gunfire is. Like, you know, after each run of gunfire, you have the soul essence that you spend to increase like your talents and stuff. Whereas Risk of Rain, you don't really get to carry anything over except for stuff that you actually unlocked.
Right. So I guess WoW's Torghast is probably like the lightest of the roguelikes possible then.
Right. Yeah. You come in with like a bunch of different stuff.
It like out your gear or anything. Like you still have like everything you had on you. It's just now you get even more powerful as you're going.
I think that's probably one of the appeals of stuff like Dota is very similar in that, you know, you start and you have nothing except what you've brought with you from learning.
Right.
Except for like the competitive aspects of it.
Dota's a hard game.
It is. It is a really hard game. And it has like this weird curve where it's like it's really, really hard and not really fun, and then like when you get to the top of that curve, it becomes really, really fun. The problem is getting up that hill that first time to get to like a new player can be a pain in the ass.
Right. I mean, you had me trying to play for like a year or something like that, and I still couldn't get too much into it. It's so hard to understand sometimes.
Yeah, so a lot of the more recent patches have made it more. I don't mean to distract our entire thing with Dota, but a lot of the recent patches have made it more a bit new user friendly because of the fact that it had, or casual friendly, I guess is a better term because it's not really new user friendly, it's more casual friendly. Is they have like more objectives on the map that you kind of have to do around certain markers, and because of that, it kind of limits what you can do wrong.
The stream just disconnected, by the way.
Did it?
Yep.
That's fine as long as the recording's still running, because then I can still post it to YouTube.
Yeah, the recording's still going.
Yeah.
Juan, are you still here, or did you die?
Oh, no, I'm here.
Okay, so it's not our internet, it's just our connection to Twitch.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. We just don't worry about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, like, the only wrong thing that you can do at certain points is to not do the thing that the game designed to happen then. So, like, at 5 minutes, the bounty rune spawns. So, if at 5 minutes you're going for a bounty rune, you're doing the right thing, regardless of anything else.
Right.
And that's sort of, I guess, a way that they're making it a bit more new user-friendly, because it's easier to with more objectives on the map, it's like easier. Okay, this objective matters at 10 minutes, this objective matters at 2 minutes, and this objective matters at 5 minutes. You're probably going to be there at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes.
And does the game do like a pretty decent job of like letting players know when that stuff's up, or is that like just something you need to know off the cuff?
I think more recently they have been making updates that like something will say something when it's like the 5-minute mark, isn't there?
It doesn't. So the way it used to is a bit complicated because there's a bunch of this stuff which they paywalled behind Dota Plus, which is really frustrating to a lot of people. Because like a stack timer, for example. Okay, this is going to take a bit of explanation. If you've played League of Legends, you know the jungle camps. In Dota 2, the jungle camp will follow you outside the camp. And if the camp is empty at 00 on the clock, it will spawn regardless of whether or not the jungle creeps that are supposed to be there are alive or not. So because they'll follow you far enough away to where they won't be in the camp, you can stack the camp that way. In Dota Plus, it will tell you when to pull those camps. In main Dota, it will not.
So it's kind of like buying training wheels.
Yes, a lot of Dota Plus is like buying training wheels, which, you know, if somebody really wants to get into Dota, I can recommend that if they think they will like it, like a decent way in, like if they play like 100 games and they're like, I'm going to enjoy this game, I would advise them to buy Dota Plus, at least for like 2 months, just so they learn all the timings that are in that.
Wait. You have to play 100 games before you figure out if you'll like it or not?
I've played more than 100 games, and I still haven't figured it out. I mean, I do actually enjoy the game. It's just I still haven't figured out how to fucking play it.
It feels like the comment about Warframe, which is like you put 40 hours in before you get character customization.
I think the stream got disconnected again.
That's fine. We don't need to care about the status of the stream now that we know it's unstable. Yeah, so I say sometimes you do have to play like 100 hours of Dota or 100 games of Dota before you're like, yeah, this is a game I really want to get into, versus a game like I can play this sometimes. That's more of what I mean.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I know 100 games is a lot, so it's also like asking a lot of people. But there's also like Path of Guardians, I think it is, which is like a 3v3 mode where you get to choose between 3 heroes, and so both of you are not very good. Both sides are going to be not very good. And you can like hunt. There's like big bosses and stuff, and there's like different rules to it. And it's like the more casual, friendly, I've never played Dota mode.
Okay, it's like some different modes to kind of help you ease into the mechanics. So you can kind of learn it step by step.
Yeah. But most of those modes, which is the important thing to remember, are made by the community. And that means if the community person doing it decides, hey, I've got a real job now, or hey, I don't want to deal with how often I'll patches this game, suddenly it becomes like dead or awful, and you know, nothing you can do about it. It's also entirely possible that they will come out with a new user experience within the next few weeks.
Yeah, and I honestly hate whenever games like have a bunch of different like mechanics and stuff going on, but like they don't bother to really explain it to you. Like honestly, Warframe, like you said, was a really good example. It's gotten better over the years, but when I first started playing it, like I want to say 3 or 4 years back, they kind of throw you in and they explain nothing. They don't tell you how to get a new Warframe. They don't tell you how to like build a new gun. They don't tell you where to get mods and stuff from. They're just like, good luck, dude.
You know, it's so funny because it's like all the information is in the game. It's just like, where is it? It's like, oh, it's your codex, and you have to scan the enemy like 5 times, and then you'll find out every drop it has, and that'll like link up with your codex and start to explain where everything comes from. And you're like, what the what?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't tell a player that, they're not going to do it. They're just going to sit there and be like, well, here's this heavily armored enemy, and my lightning gun's doing nothing to him, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it was, I think I probably started playing back in 2012 or something. So probably like, what, 9 years ago? No, 11 years ago-ish. 9 years ago? I can't do math. I did it right the first time. So I played for a long time. I played when, not only... Oh, I played on the old map where it didn't even have like a link between planets to how you're supposed to figure out how to get anywhere.
It was a big grid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like you would click on a planet and it'd have a bunch of circles around it, or no, like a bunch of little markers around, it would be like a circle and it'd be like chopped up, and then you
had to find like the way through the grid from like where you started to where the boss was, and you had to beat the boss to go to the next planet.
Yeah, and it was okay. And also, here was the thing that the game did not tell you and was really important. When you started Warframe back in like 2012, you had to beat Vor twice. And it's very important that the game it was a bug and nobody explained it, and it was basically true for almost everybody, which was you had to beat Vor twice because the access, I think it was to Mars and Venus, was both gained from Vor. And the first time you beat him, if you beat him as part of I think it was like Vor's prize or something, back then he would only drop Venus and he wouldn't drop Mars, and so you had to go and actually just kill him normal, and then he would drop Mars. So I had like half my star chart just locked off because I couldn't figure out how to get to Mars.
See, it's shit like that. Like, devs should prioritize fixing and streamlining shit like that.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, there is a difference to the way that Second Dream hit back then than how it hits now. Because back then it was such like a secret quest that like you didn't even know was really there. And it was like super hard. It didn't even show up in your codex until you scanned the blue guy. Which meant that you never even knew it existed until then.
Like,
oh my god!
Those missions and be finding the blue thing, and you're like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah,
and scan it, and you never know.
Yeah, and like there's so much stuff, and
which like if that was like some hidden thing for like some cool cosmetic or like a secret gun, that'd be fine. Leave it as vague as possible. But when it's the main story to progress the game, okay, give us a hint.
Okay, well, back then it wasn't actually part of progression. You could unlock the entire star chart, but you couldn't get focus until then. And so that was like the only part that was locked there, and it was like just this secret off the books quest that you had to hunt down. It felt a lot like becoming a Jedi back in old Star Wars Galaxies. Like it's one of those things you found and then you did like the whole quest line and it gave you like this giant payoff and it felt like really good.
Yeah.
Whereas now there's still some payoff there, but there's nowhere near as like heavy as it was then when it was so hard to even find it.
I miss Star Wars Galaxies. I still like that game.
Yeah, I'd say Star Wars Galaxies Classic was like for an MMO, for the kind of MMO that it was probably one of the best of that.
Well, it was like a sandbox one, yeah, so pre-WoW and everything, before everything's tried to be just WoW clones all over the place. You know?
Yeah. Talking about MMOs, Juan, did you ever play the Warhammer one or no?
No, unfortunately, I never got to try it.
Okay, because, I mean, it still kind of exists now, but it's like a fan server, and it's one server, and there's like 400 people on it.
Yeah. Kind of like Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah. That MMO suffered from a lot of problems that I think arise from its release time.
Right.
Like, mainly it's sales, right? Because it released too close to Wrath of the Lich King, so that basically killed it. And then on top of that, it was just before MMOs started to realize that like public groups or like area groups kind of ideas or instanced areas kind of thing should be a thing in MMOs. Like, if your guys are all going to do one giant group event that is now area event for that town or something, that it sort of like having a public group that just sort of opens and everybody can just jump in instead of like having to LFG everybody and see if anybody wants to recruit you.
Wasn't Warhammer the one that started that?
It started the like big area event quest stuff, I think.
Because it had like those. Okay, so like in Mists of Pandaria and onward, I don't know if it was in Legion or before that, but like when you go to a certain area, all of a sudden there's that world event quest, bonus quest, and stuff like that. It was like that, except like you'd go into this well, not really secret. It had a big marker on the map. This little area on the map, which would have like a giant circle around it, and it'd be like a giant party quest where everyone participated, and then like a big chest dropped at the end, and everyone got their own like little awesome loot from it.
If you've ever played Guild Wars 2, you've experienced this 100 times.
Oh.
Well, I think my first experience with it was actually when I played Rift, when it went free to play.
Yeah, Rift. I forgot about Rift.
Yeah, we played Rift back before it went free to play for like 2 months.
Yeah. It was fun, but it didn't feel worth it.
It was like great value World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, anyway, so the Warhammer one, it didn't have like, I don't think it had public parties. As in, like, you could just open your party to public and anybody could just jump in and join it. Which is kind of like the thing that you need to have in that kind of game. And I think that's like one of the main ways that it screwed itself over, was because it released just before those became like the thing to do in MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
Either have a public party or everybody in the area gets experience as though they're in a party, whether or not they are.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It didn't do like any of that, and that because of that, it hurt it as an MMO because it like ruined its solo experience completely. Like you had to have like a group, or it wasn't worth playing.
Yeah, I think that was one of the reasons that I started getting a little bored with it, because you couldn't do a lot solo anymore. There wasn't like, you had to have a party, and then no one would want to party with you because I was just a squig herder, and no one gave a shit about squig herders.
You're just the DPS, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, people don't give a shit about DPS. Like, it's they want the middle class. Every race had 4 classes, and like there was a healer, a ranged DPS, a melee DPS, and a tank.
Right, yeah.
And each one of them was always like either I think the 2 DPS were always DPSs, but I believe the tank and the healer were always hybrids with DPS.
Mm-hmm.
So you always you would gain power, or you would either heal people by damaging someone, or you would damage someone to gain the energy to heal people. You would do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It like kind of like bucked the trend of like the Trinity kind of thing. The problem was because without public groups and stuff for like the main map, it basically made world PvP like super one-sided. One side had a giant guild, the other one didn't, and then nobody wanted to join the other side because they had a giant guild that was capturing all the territory all the time.
Yeah.
And then there was also like the race split thing that they did, which was like really frustrating for people like at the open, because it was a thing that was not going to survive if their population like dropped, which it did as soon as Wrath of the Lich King came out, so it fucking killed the game too.
Right, yeah.
It was one of those EA kicked this out way too fast and didn't have any idea what they were doing with it.
I mean, it had potential to be a good game and fun. It was fun, but it didn't last.
Yeah, I think just AoE kind of experience or public groups or any of the things that make like a modern MMO easier to play as like a small group or solo would have drastically helped that game.
Right.
If you were doing a castle siege, like if a castle siege was happening for your side and it was happening and you could just like click 2 buttons and you're just in the party now to help siege the castle, like that would have fucking made that game. But instead you couldn't do that. You just had to fucking LFG this giant group of 40 people that nobody wanted to invite you because the party leader was like AFK or something.
Uh-huh. That, or they just didn't want to invite you.
Yeah, it was frustrating. It became like almost 100% about guilds and shit, and that like ruined the whole game.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't mean guilds. I mean big guilds. Like if your guild was like less than 10 people, it was worthless.
Yeah, I remember that. Because our guilds, even like World of Warcraft, Warhammer, everything we played, we pretty much always had a small guild, where it was pretty much just me, Zach, and a couple of friends. So we always felt like we were always getting the underhand of everything else. Of everyone else, I mean.
Also, if anybody's wondering on Warframe why they can't name their clan the Hokage clan, it's because it's me.
I don't think anyone was wondering that. I feel like they'd just go with a different name if it's already been taken.
It's not just that it's me, Jordan, and like a few friends. It's me. I'm like literally the Hokage clan. There's no one else.
I mean, there's other people in it, but they don't play.
Nobody plays in the Hokage clan. It's just me.
I remember Zach was getting me back into it to play it more, and I still don't really like it enough to keep playing it, is my problem. But he said, oh, we're gonna get all these items, but from this giant glowing thing in the middle of the guild or whatever, and he's like, but we have to wait for my friend to come on. I was like, when does your friend come on last, and when is he gonna come on again? Oh, I don't know, he hasn't come on in 10 years.
Not when I said it. And the last person I talked to before you about waiting for him was him saying that I was waiting for you. And then when you came on, I was like, no, let's just cash it in, and we just cashed it in, right?
I don't remember. Oh yeah, we did. We cashed
we cashed it in for like the 50,000 endo or whatever it's worth. It's probably way more than that, actually. I still haven't spent all of it. I've been maxing out like all my fucking Prime mods. Oof, speaking of Prime mods, they don't tell you about Borrow either. You have to get like the stupid email, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you show up and you're like, what's this currency? I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And then it's like, go to these stupid things and turn in all these Prime parts.
Like, I get why some people really like Warframe. I just don't like it.
It's definitely like one of the smoothest and like most enjoyable shooters I ever played. It's just the devs don't know how to make interesting content for it. They just keep rehashing the same defense mission over and over again, and I got bored.
And sometimes you just have to run the exact same 1,000,000 times just to get any little thing. To get every part of a Warframe, you have to do the same mission 50 times. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's not even like, okay, you did the mission, you got the Warframe, you're done. No, it's like, okay, no, you did the mission, you got the Warframe. Now, you need to run this other mission 100 times because you have to keep leveling up your fucking Warframe over and over and over again because you got to keep adding Forma onto it. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Now, that being said, I still poured hundreds of hours into this game.
Well, I commend you. I couldn't do it. I tried. I couldn't do it.
Loved it, but after a certain
3,346.
That's how many hours you have?
Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
Didn't even know there were that many hours in a lifetime.
It's
on Xbox. I can't track that, unfortunately, but
I don't know. Like, there's a lot to Warframe that I really do enjoy. Like the gameplay loop is very good. I think it's solid. There's a lot of the gunplay is very fun. Like some Warframes are just like super cool to just chill out and do a defense for 3 hours and not actually play the game. And they always nerf you eventually. They always come back to you eventually. Like that, you're like, oh, I think one of my problems was with one of their nerfs or changes that I didn't agree with very much was the change to Saren, which was this Warframe. She put spores on people, and then you pop the spores and they spread to everybody. So everybody played her by pressing 2, which spawns a double of yourself, spamming 1, which caused a bunch of spores to spawn on it, and then shooting it with a rocket. Like, everybody played her that way. And I was like, you can play her that way. And I guess that's the way that that's the way of her play that they wanted to nerf. which I get that. But they also nerfed the way I like to play her, which was that you would press 1, press 3, and then you would just melee the shit out of everything, and then everything on the map would die.
Hell yeah.
and like they're like, no, we gotta nerf that one into Oblivion too, just because of the other one though. And then it's like, oh, so now I have to like worry about my energy management, which I didn't have a problem with the melee build because she gained 2 energy every time she pops a spore. Because they took that out, and I was like, okay, well, now I have to worry about energy. And then they put in like just before like. No, it was a couple years before they made that change. They put in a bunch of mods that felt like they were mods specifically for her. They put in a mod where every debuff an enemy is suffering for, it increases your damage to them. Every debuff also gives you like 1 HP or a certain amount of HP based on the mod. Right? And like on her, she was basically unkillable. She did so much damage, and she would just like steamline through people. I was like always topping the other Sarens who just sat there and spammed 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And I was like, why does them getting nerfed also nerf me though?
Probably because you were overpowered too, but in a different way.
I guess so.
It's like back in the day, I was a Valkyr main, and I loved being able to just stay in Hysteria like indefinitely, just because you can get the drain so low. And then they reworked it, and they're like, oh no, the drain gets more expensive as you're going. And I was like, I get it. Being permanently invulnerable to damage was kind of broken, but at the
just
same
a
time,
little.
Oh yeah, well, you think it was broken then. It's broken now. So like let's address this, right? So she still has the drain, right? The drain still kind of really sucks. Yep. But now, because of the melee changes, you are not forced to have your claws and keep your invincibility, which means you can right-click, pull out your gun, drop your invincibility, have rage equipped so that when you start taking damage, you start converting that back into energy again, and then you just go back into your invincibility as soon as it starts to drop by pressing E. You don't have to do anything else. You just press E. So now it's like this, like, she is so much stronger because of Melee 3.0 or whatever it was that did that change. That made it so your mouse is like your gun and your E button is your melee.
Yeah, I remember that.
The second they came out with that change, it made her so fucking broken. And well, that plus Umbra and the Umbra mods, because Umbra mods are borked. Yeah, because if you put the Umbra mod on her, she has something like over 3,000 armor, which means nothing in the game can hurt her.
That's
like she doesn't even need Hysteria to be invincible. She just literally cannot be killed. She is so strong. To put that into perspective, I think the standard tanky armor that isn't hers is probably about 500.
Yeah, I think Frosted's like 500.
Yeah.
By default.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how little damage she takes. And then you can combine that if you want to play like super weird, you can play it with you get like the arcane, because they're so much easier to get now. You get the arcane that like buffs your armor every time you take damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you can get the dog that buffs your armor every time you kill something with a mark on it. And then you just have so much armor, nothing can hurt you. And then you're like, is Hysteria needed anymore at this point?
No, that's essentially what I did too. Is I did a Warcry build instead of a Hysteria build after that. Just got all the armor shit I could, as much power as I possibly could with Warcry, and get like 500% more attack speed and armor or some stupid shit, and I would just become this whirling tornado of death with my freaking Galatine Prime.
Yeah, I was like, but every time I played that game though, when I was playing Valkyr, I would feel like, man, I wish Wukong was good. And then like,
dude, his rework.
Oh, when they reworked him, I was like, but before the rework, I was like, fucking, first off, when Sun goes into the clouds in the book anywhere, he's supposed to be like the fastest cloud walker. Why does he move like a slug? And then I'm like, and then there's no clones. Like already I was like, oh, that's kind of annoying because he kind of does that every single time he fights anybody in the book. It's like his primary mechanic. That's why he has it in every single game he's in besides this one. But I feel like it's a weird place. Like, what ability would you put that on? And they're like, nah, fuck it. We'll put it on ability 1. And I'm like, okay, 25 energy, get a free clone? Fuck yes. And then he does always the opposite of you unless you're carrying the staff. Then he does the staff abilities. And like, oh my god, I got one of the Kuva rocket launchers some time ago, and I've like upgraded the shit out of that, and I just walk around and melee stuff, and then I just hope that it's alive long enough for my melee to catch it. Because there are rockets flying in behind me, and oh my god. Because he doesn't suffer the rocket knockback.
No. And then putting freaking primed reach on the iron staff. Jeez. Had the range of some guns, like.
Yeah, and I finally got what was it? Arcane Fury or whatever it is, the one that gives you like crit damage when you start getting damaged. And then I combine that with the one you don't have to use, but his augment that makes it so his crit is based on how many times you've hit people with the iron staff.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you take that, you know?
Yeah, there used to be, I don't know if it was a bug, but it used to be a thing where, I don't know if it's a thing anymore, is where you would benefit from the combo ability of the melee set, the gladiator set, so that you would get the increased crit on your iron staff from the giant combo. Oh my god, that was like insane, because then he would just be like red critting through everybody like the whole map, and there was just nothing anybody could do. They just watched people die.
I know last time I played, that still worked. I don't think it was a bug, because I remember having the gladiator mods on him, and then some of them on like my freaking sentinel just to get more bonus.
Gladiator is, I think, you and your melee weapon is the only thing that can hold gladiator.
But the sentinel could get a specific.
The Helios gun or whatever, right? The like glaive.
Yeah. As melee, so you could put it on there, turn him into a stat stick.
Did it work with it? Because
yeah.
Okay, because I think that's a change. I think they changed that because I know the cats don't work.
That's lame.
Some cats don't work. Some cats do work.
Some
I know.
some cats
Venari doesn't. Venari doesn't work, but Venari's special, so like, just leave Venari alone, I guess. Venari's
all that, and then I think I was like Neramon focused or something, so like my freaking combo would like never go down, and whenever it would, it'd only go down by like 5 or some shit.
Yeah.
Good defense. I'm looking at my combo counter. I'm like, 30,000. That's cool.
Yeah, and then when they changed the combo system, so it's now just a build up and spend. It's kind of like, I get it, like, and it kind of makes sense, and it still kind of works for it still works for Wukong for the augment, because the augment doesn't go away when you spend the combo counter. So he keeps that part of his crit. He just loses the other part, the one from the gladiator buff.
Yeah.
But yeah, when also, it was like that patch or the patch before. It was also like the one where they split up, where they opened the like exalted weapons to actually be able to mod them instead of fucking just carry over the mods from whatever you had in that slot.
Yeah, which was nice, because like it sucked having to like literally carry around like, okay, this weapon is just here to have, stat mods on it. Like technically these aren't good mods for a regular weapon, but they're good for the exalted weapon. So
yeah, and then like also learning which mods worked and which ones didn't was a pain in the ass.
Another one of those unspoken things.
Yeah, whereas now it's just like, oh, you just can't pick it when you're looking at the exalted menu, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But man, like some of the Warframes, I like that they keep nerfing some of your Warframe bullshit. Like, so one of the modes I played a lot was the Index, the one where you go and you just get a bunch of money because you bet money.
Oh yeah.
So one of the ways you used to be able to cheese that, which I guess you can't do anymore, was to play Hildren. Because Hildren didn't have an energy bar, she spent shield to do anything.
Yeah.
And so that meant that her energy drain wouldn't affect her. And then they're like, no, that's going to affect you now. And I'm like, no! Poor Hildren just got killed in Index.
I remember I would just cheese that shit with Limbo.
Yeah. Everybody had like their cheese frame. Like it's like, which cheese frame is your favorite cheese frame? Is it Mesa? Is it Valkyr? Is it Limbo? Is it...
You're poor, it's Loki. It's gonna be permanently invisible.
Fucking little Loki just running around stab.
I mean, I guess technically that was my cheese frame then, because of how little I played. And that was my starting Warframe.
Yeah, remember when Loki was a starter frame?
Oh yeah, that's not true anymore. I forgot that.
No, I got replaced with Volt.
What a downgrade.
I know, I had...
really good once you have like a bunch of good mods for him, but if you start off the game with a Volt, you're gonna be like, this sucks.
I remember because when I restarted the game and I got back in, I went to the tutorial again, and it started me with Volt and stuff, and I was all like, oh cool, I'm gonna give a new Warframe named Volt, and I didn't get Volt because I already had Loki. And Zach was like, well, Loki's actually incredibly good to start off with now that he's no longer a starting frame.
Hell yeah.
Because it also means that you like maxed out a Loki, so you don't have to worry about it for your mastery, and you don't have to fucking farm Pluto or whatever it was that he drops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was dumb, and I picked Mag as my starter Warframe.
Mag, the like some missions she's the best frame ever, and other missions she's just like bye.
But isn't it because she's like the first frame you can build or something?
Well, the first three that you can... Oh yeah, she is pretty early. Like, she's fucking Phobos or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only person you can get before her is Rhino, but Rhino's like an amazing frame.
Right.
Mag is literally does not work against one of the 4 factions in the game.
Like, you have to be against the perfect enemy type for her, and then you have to play at like a 500 IQ level.
Yeah, she's a... And then you have to have like the right mod setup to where you're getting like enough energy and damage, like going back and forth.
It's like you can do all that, or you can just play Excalibur, pull out your Exalted Blade, and just kill everything.
Yeah. Like comparatively, it's not really fair, now is it?
Nope.
Yeah. She... Like, and the other problem is, like, when you read Mag's stats, it feels like she should be really good against the Corpus, but she's only okay against the Corpus. She's really good against the Grineer.
It just doesn't make... Like, she's all about manipulating shields and stuff. People are like, oh, cool. Like, naturally, this should work. But,
yeah,
it's weird interaction with armor somehow.
Yeah. Her best matchup is actually the whatever. It's either a Crossfire with both, or it's, corrupted faction, because they'll have both, because like when either hits 0 you like explode, and because the energy guy or the shield guys do hit 0 a lot, so they do blow up a lot. The problem is that explosion I don't think does very good damage to the shield, so you have to nuke everybody's shields and then all of them explode at the same time to actually get like a good combo against them. Versus the armor, which leaves little shards of shit that fall off them when you strip it away, which combos with your 2 and shoots all those shards at whoever's inside of it.
Those freaking the magnetized death bubbles were like insane. You just get yourself a fucking Lunka and you just have a fun day.
Yeah.
Set it in the hallway and watch everything just walk to their death.
Yeah, and then also, like, much earlier, I don't know, she is still kind of OP, is, like, fucking Nova. Nova's pretty fucking OP.
Dude, after they gave her freaking, her antimatter, I don't know, no, whatever her ultimate's called, after they gave that the damage reduction mod, shit, she was set.
She's like broken. Like she's broken however you want to play her. It's like, oh, you need control, so you need people to be slow. You can do like drive her power as high as possible. Or you need the opposite. You need everybody to be super fast because you want to get everybody to you so you can complete the mission quicker. Oh, just drive her power slightly down. Go from 100 to 90%, and somehow everybody's 4 times faster.
It's always the worst though when you load it in, you have the wrong build on. Like, ah, shit.
Yeah. And then, like, for every map, she was OP. It's like, oh, I want to hunt the stupid little shits in the fucking plains, and I don't want to, like, get caught by anybody, and I want to do it super quick. It's like, oh, play Nova with slightly lower, with the range buff, and she can just dash across all the pools and collect all the guys in a minute. Oh, she's broken. And then her slow works on fucking everything. They're like, there's no boss in the game that is immune to this.
All the bosses, like everything's just moving 70% slower. Like that's a huge slow. Especially since it wasn't just movement speed, it was attack speed too. So like
yeah.
it'd be shooting 70% slower.
Yeah, I was having trouble like beating. I think it was Mercury. There was like an interception, a steel path, which is where everything's plus 100 levels. I was having trouble with the interception because everything just spawned so fast. And I was like, I can't like control and kill and damage everybody at the same time. How am I supposed to? And then I went and I picked Nova, and then it was just me controlling all 4 points until it was over.
So yeah, you just run to the center of the map, drop your ulti, and then the whole map is slowed.
Yeah, she's so fucking broken. And then like, if you want, you're like, oh, maybe she takes a bit of extra damage, and it's a bit annoying. And you're like, you don't normally run into that problem, but maybe you do once in a while. And you're like, okay, well, maybe let's put this augment that absorbs all the enemy damage into my 2 whenever I shoot that out. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, on Steel Path, everybody does shitloads of damage.
So let's just throw it right back at them.
Yeah, it just absorbs everything and slams into one guy and kills like the whole room. And you're just like, yep. Yep. I'm just sitting on 1 point, and I'm like, nobody's captured anything for about 2 minutes. Guess I'm done here. Fucking Steel Path. Steel Path is like, it needs balance fixes. It's either way too easy or way too hard, and it like literally depends on which frame is best for this mode.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that some modes, and the other thing is that some modes don't even matter. Like, you can get some modes, it just depends on your melee weapon. You just equip your melee weapon, press E, and you just complete the Steel Path version of it. And I'm not even joking about the just press E. I mean, you use the momentum of your E to carry you forward to the end and get to extraction. Never have to touch another button. Yeah. Also, momentum is an actual stat in that game that nobody bothers to explain without digging around in the wiki. And you're like, what is momentum? And they're like, momentum is your ability to not be interrupted when doing a melee combo. And it's like, why don't you tell me which weapons have momentum and which ones don't?
Pretty much always understood it as like just the big, beefy, two-handed weapons had good momentum.
Yeah, the beefy ones do have it. I think it's just like 1 or 2 hammers where it's like it doesn't have it or it does, and it doesn't bother to tell you which one does and which one doesn't. And it also every once in a while you get really frustrated with the game because you're like, if I just had this one mod, this would be better. And then you find it's a 0.2% chance drop from an enemy you've killed 7,000 of just this week.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh my god, I don't want to go hunt these specifically to get this.
So when you bust out the old Necros and pray.
Yeah. It's like the hammer mod. The first time I didn't have it was like so frustrating. I was like, oh no, where does the hammer mod drop? And like every seeker in the game has a 0.2% chance of dropping it. Like, thank you. Like if they could, I don't know, maybe make the bomb that the Seeker rolls out, make that have like a 0.2% or 0.02% chance of dropping it too. Anything that just increased it slightly. Oh man, and then there's the whole completely ignored part of the game, the arc wings.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the Conclave.
Conclave? What's Conclave?
The PvP.
There's PvP in that game?
Dude. Point proven. Yes, there is PvP. It's god awful.
Well, he knows. He's joking.
Yeah, that was the joke. Conclave is so bad. And there's people who play it, and they play it hardcore, and it's like, good for you, but
right, like, it's like being the world's tallest midget. Like, good job, dude.
It's like the only time I played Conclave was the time we had that PvP event where we threw snowballs at each other because I wanted the mod or whatever, or the cosmetic that was tied to it.
And like, tell me why they're like, hey, let's make a rugby version of Conclave. Like, what?
And the funny part about, what was it, the Conclave type map, was the time when fucking what's her name, the main villain over on Sedna gets like high as fuck on fumes, and then is like, everybody shoot each other with water guns.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this mode? Oh my god, that was so much fun, only because it was stupid. Like, I didn't even know why that existed.
Somebody at Digital Extremes just got bored.
Yeah, and then the second summer when they did it, they were like, we learned our lesson. You're no longer allowed to use all your mods to make them all go to sleep and then just headshot them one at a time. This is supposed to be a squirt gun fight, not you cheating with mods. I was like, yeah, I know. I had like a Garuda build that was just designed around putting them all to sleep.
Let me just play my robot space ninja game the way I want, damn it.
Stop making me play it the way you intended.
I mean, really, you can say that about a bunch of games.
True. I watched a video recently of their dev stream where they were talking about the melee, that you can just melee your way to the end of Steel Path missions. They're like, yeah, we saw that happened, and then it just dropped because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. Like, they have no idea how to fix melee because it's like, it's like the melee is like simple, but it's pretty decent. But like at the same time, it's kind of simple. And the fact that it's like the best way to play the game is the problem.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's self-inflicted. They have a good handful of Warframes that are purely centered around melee. Like Valkyr, Wukong, Ashe, like all those guys. Like, you clearly wanted melee to be a completely viable and doable thing. So don't act surprised when it's viable and doable.
Well, the problem isn't that it's viable and doable, it's that everything else is so far below it in capability that it just doesn't feel like you should do anything else. Like, you shouldn't be able to play a Steel Path mission on the hardest difficulty where everything's plus 100 levels, and the whole thing you do is just press E. You don't have to hold forward, you don't have to touch any other button, you just press E and let the sword carry you all the way to extraction.
Some King Arthur shit right there.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it called Excalibur anyway?
Yep.
Fucking when King Arthur came out in Smite, he like fucking broke everyone's brain.
Still
King
busted.
Arthur is in Smite.
Yeah. And he's super good, but he's so hard to balance because they don't know what they're doing.
So does that legitimately make King Arthur a god now?
Well, they had already started to bleed into characters
Yeah,
that were
some
similar.
Oh, okay.
legends and shit like that.
I see.
I mean, while Wukong's story, I believe, ends with him becoming a Buddha, so he kind of is a god. His story, in the way that it is told, is kind of similar to how King Arthur's story would be told. Like, he's a mythological character who lives for a ridiculously long time and shows up and helps with a real-world event that definitely did happen.
Meanwhile, from someone else's point of view.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because isn't like King Arthur? Isn't that from like someone like Percival's point of view or something?
No. King Arthur's written from third-person omniscient.
Oh, never mind then. I'm crazy. It's fine.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
the Arthur books are interesting, but more Arthur characters are also right around the corner. I think Morgan Le Fay is coming out soon.
Ooh.
They also just brought out, what was it, Tiamat or something?
Yeah, T-Mat.
And she's like fucking nuts. She's like a stance switching mage or something. She's like, I think she's like closer to like Bologna or someone than she is to like Merlin. But also a mage. And I have to critique Smite a bit or Hi-Rez a bit. Well, like, what are they? Titan Forge or something now? The Smite specific studio for like for deciding that anybody who deals damage as a magical cast is just a mage.
Yeah. Ao Kuang's not a mage. He's not.
Yeah. Or like Freya is a carry, but like you don't bother to define that. So when a new player comes in, it's like, well, she's still mage. It's like, yeah, I guess.
Or let's be fair, like half the Guardians are not Guardians. They're just mages that are thick.
or they play more like warriors, like they're the solo lane guy.
Yeah.
I wish that they had that kind of sorting. Maybe they do now. I don't know. Their UI has changed like 3 times since I played. Maybe they need to add that. They need to add like a kind of role suggestion sort. So it's like, oh, I want to play like a whatever. I fucking hate the lanes only because I don't play Conquest at all. But like, I want to play like a tanky brawler character that would be like the standard warrior, like your Wukong and your Hercules, but who does magical damage, and then like them list them out. So it'd be like, you know, Kabrakan and Kabrakan.
Thor doesn't do magical damage?
No, Thor does physical.
Kabrakan's labeled as a Guardian for some reason.
Yeah. Fat Loki. It used to be a meme between me and my friends when we played Smite, Joust 3v3. Because I would always be like, nobody expects Kabrakan. And I would just pick Kabrakan like every time, and we would just waffle stomp people because literally nobody expects Kabrakan in Joust for some reason.
Nope. I do that shit too, man.
It's like
fucking Polly and you laugh.
Yeah, I used to buy in Joust for a while. I was playing Amaterasu only because I had 100% win rate with her. I literally could not be beaten in Joust because she's so fucking broken.
Hell yeah, dude.
She needed 1 defense item, and then she could have full damage items from then on, and she would just fucking raffle stomp people.
Because like, unlike, you know, the other warriors, like, they need to keep coming at you. Like, she can kind of just get around the bush, let her little mirror charge up, then that'll hit you for half your health, and then she can go in on you.
Or she can just be the pressure that never lets up. She has whatever playstyle you want. How do you play a warrior? You want to play them as like a support, so they're like a guardian, you know, like a Healy guardian. You can pick Ama. You want a warrior, but want them to be in your face the whole time. You can still pick Ama. She doesn't have a I don't fill this role kind of play. I think she can probably function as a jungle/assassin too. Fucking broken.
Definitely. They just dash in, ult, and then laugh.
Yeah. I've not played much Mulan because I've not really played the game since she came out. So I don't know if she kind of plays similar or not, but she is a warrior, which makes me want to play her.
I believe her name is Ping. I mean, his name is Ping.
Ha 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 ha.
Yes, I know.
Anyway,
I am hilarious.
Yeah, no. There's every once in a while I'm like, I kind of want to play this game again because I kind of want to play these new characters and stuff. But then at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to deal with people again?
Nope.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Oh, sometimes people are so toxic.
Yeah,
I love
Diana
how
has to
much
deal with
game
people again.
actively encourages toxicity too, like with the different emotes and stuff you can get.
Yeah, I almost guarantee that those emotes are in for console players to be toxic. Because, on PC, I've played cross-platform a bunch because, why not? And console players, like, all they do is emote at you, so...
Because they can't type.
Yeah.
I mean, they could. It'd just take them an extra 15 minutes.
Yeah, we had like a hacker in one of our games, and I had to try and convince the console players to fucking report him. Oh, that was a pain in the ass, and they were like, affirmative. Yes.
Man.
I always find it funny when it's like, you say like this huge big thing, and then they're just like, affirmative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
just because that's the closest reaction to what they're trying to say.
Yeah,
it's the worst. Like your own team would be toxic to you, so like you might slip up and like get caught out, and then you die, and then all of a sudden you just hear, "You rock, cancel that. You rock, cancel that. You rock, cancel that." It's like, dude.
Oh my god, I hate that. Or the fucking raw laugh at the end of every match. Ah. And then they do it because they know it makes us mad.
Yep. I don't get why any dev would want to actively encourage that shit in their community, you know?
Yeah. And then they're like, what was it? They had a quest for one of their events. It was either Odyssey or one of the season passes or something. One of the quests that can come up is like, say you rock within 5 seconds of an ally killing someone. The amount of times I've stood under a tower to say you rock to somebody who just dived the tower and killed somebody has been pretty funny. Because I'm trying, so you have 5 seconds. It's not very long.
Speaking of toxicity, I don't know if Dota had anything like it, but I know in freaking League, there was all chat. Like, you could sit there and talk to the enemy team, which is the absolute worst idea I've ever heard in my life.
They do have that in Dota.
Yeah, that's in Dota. All chat's in Dota.
Awful.
Well,
Ooh.
I mean, if it's an actual, like, non-toxic community, then they could give each other advice or like do something like that. Like you can see where they're messing up. But most of the time they're probably gonna be like, "Oh, fuck you, you're stupid, noob, blah blah, easy win, all that shit."
Exactly. That's all that it's going to be used for.
But hold on. We have to address the fact that both of those games have a very, very competitive and popular competitive scene where all chat is very necessary during tournaments.
Explain?
You have to be able to tell the other team, hey, this guy's computer's not working, we need 10 seconds.
Yeah, but wouldn't that mean, oh, this is a good time to roll on them in most games?
Yeah, but like stuff like that. It's also like if your community is healthy, like not as toxic as they all are, it could be used, for example, if you pause the game and you go, hey, this guy's DC'd for like a second, his internet just went out, he'll be back in like 20 seconds, don't worry about it. A lot of people, I found that there are, in certain modes, during certain times of day, in Dota 2, where if that happens, the person's like, yeah, no, sure, I'll wait the 30 seconds for him to come back. And they do.
Well, I feel like that's how it should be, generally.
Yes.
Unlike in that World of Warcraft game I was playing with Juan, where they immediately kicked me when I got disconnected, when our power went out.
Oh, also, I don't know if League has this, but Dota has a pause feature.
I haven't played League in forever, so I don't know. But I know Smite has one.
Yeah, you can pause the game and say, "Hey, time out. Let's wait for this guy to come back." And that's why that's one of the reasons all chat exists, is so you can inform people like this guy's on his way back. Where this isn't like GG. Like, give us a minute to like do this.
Right.
Also in Dota, to prevent the enemy team or to hinder the enemy team's ability to grief you there, if you pause and someone is disconnected for 90 seconds, no one can unpause.
Oh wow.
It only works if someone's disconnected though. So, and then like to prevent you from griefing, I think you can't pause again for like 90 seconds.
So if you pause but someone else is disconnected, it doesn't unpause because it's waiting for that person to reconnect? Is that what it is?
While they're disconnected, you get an extended pause timer that nobody's allowed to break. So like no matter how many times you hit unpause, it will not unpause until that player reconnects.
I see.
Except I think it might be that if the main person does it, the person who paused, I think might be able to unpause early, but nobody else can.
Right. Okay.
Which is actually pretty good. Like that's a decent like thing. The main thing that people have complained about Dota for not having, as far as features in the game, outside of the game itself, would be the surrender button.
Oh, there's no surrender?
Nope. Which means, like, for example, if the three of us decided we wanted to start playing a game of Dota, and a guy about my and before matchmaking, it matched us with people around your guys' level more than my level, right? Assuming that Juan's skill level is going to be counted as 0 because he's never played Dota before.
Correct.
Right. So it will pull me down and try to match us against a team that is roughly equal our skill. So let's say that a guy who's about 3,000 MMR above me is smurfing at around that skill level and gets brought into that game with us. We have a 0% chance of winning that game, regardless of who he picks or plays. Not having a surrender button will make us really salty and really mad the whole game.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems with Dota, and that's one of the times where I've seen it like been talked about the most, is because of Smurfs and their fucking popularity in Dota 2.
Well, because it's a free game, they don't have to pay for it. Like smurfing in Overwatch or smurfing in like anything else, you have to pay to buy the game on a second account. Whereas smurfing in Dota, you literally just sign up for a second Steam account and download Dota.
Yeah, and there's 2 reasons, or I think there's 3 reasons why smurfing happens, which is what's fucking annoying. One is somebody's trying to hide their identity, so they're probably a professional player, but usually their smurf is closer to their actual MMR, so they usually have like one account, extra account. So they're a bit different, and that's mostly because of how MMR is tied to sponsors and shit. Then there's this next part of smurfing, which is somebody who just wants to fuck around with low-level people and like dick them over a bunch.
Well, see, back in my Smite days, my buddy was really into Agni, and then if you recruited a friend, you got Agni a special skin. So I made a little Smurf account, he recruited me, and then we actually get the Smurf account to like level 30 or some shit, and then he would get the skin. So
yep.
There's also that option.
Yeah. But okay, so in Dota, the third option, right? Those are like the main 2. Maybe the main 2. We don't actually have any percentages. I think the third one's actually possibly the most common. The third one is somebody at a decent skill level, usually pretty high. Like, not professional level, but maybe somewhere below. Who is playing either boosting someone else's account or someone else's main account so that their MMR is higher, or boosting an account that they are later going to sell to someone to get them a higher MMR. And those Smurfs are everywhere. So because we have 3 different reasons for Smurfs to exist, there are so many Smurfs in Dota 2. out of like 10 matches, you'll probably run into 3 Smurfs, which is enough to make you not want to play the game at all.
Uh-huh.
And they only just recently added in a way to report a Smurf so his account can at least be flagged for matchmaking abuse. So maybe either his MMR will be automatically shot up so that he'll be closer to where he's supposed to be, or maybe he has to spend some time in low priority and his MMR doesn't move at all to make it unprofitable for boosters.
Yeah, but then what if someone gets flagged as smurfing when they're not smurfing? Then they just get thrown into games with way higher level people and get...
You could solve that by just requiring that you have to be reported X number of times before you're kicked up. And also, I don't know what the consequences are. They don't tell us.
Also, what if it's just someone who is really their first time playing, but they have spent 20 years studying and watching and maneuvering around every YouTube video of Dota there is in existence and learning every tactic and everything they can do, that this is the first time they're ever playing a game and it's perfect? What if that's the case?
That is way too much.
That doesn't happen.
How do you know? I mean, there are people that make a lot of money on Dota. You don't know that people aren't training like military style.
Stop. There's so much you have to learn from playing the game that's not possible. He would have no game sense.
Maybe they're like those people
you can't
that...
get game sense without playing the game. You can't.
You can't.
It's like not possible. Like you can't get, when I do this, players traditionally will go this way or that way, or they'll move this way, or if I shoot my skill shot this way, it'll either force them to slow down enough where I catch them, or force them to get hit by it and die. Stuff like that is stuff that you are not going to learn without physically playing the game and learning how that people react in that kind of situation.
Yeah. I guess so.
Like
that just because I watch a shitload of football, I can't go play in the NFL. That's dumb.
Yes, that's my argument.
I agree. I feel like if I just watch professional football or basketball, I should be able to step on court and be as good as them.
And if you're saying that somebody, for example, who played, let's say played enough of League where they could, the skills that will transfer over well, and they went and they played it and they did really well right away, maybe they do get flagged as a Smurf, but maybe it doesn't mean anything until they get flagged 5 times or something. And they might not get flagged 5 times, especially if they're in that's why there's 10 calibration matches also before you're allowed to be ranked.
You're a calibration match.
Some of those are going to be higher than what they expect your MMR to be, and some of those are going to be lower than what they expect your MMR to be. And then if you perform to their expectation, then the expected MMR of you stays the same. But if you go above, it goes higher, and if you're below, it goes lower. And in public matchmaking, there's almost no... or the matchmaking is so loose that it really doesn't kind of change that much.
I see. Just so you know, it has been an hour.
Yeah, we can start wrapping up if you want, and maybe play World of Warcraft or something later. Or for
we have to go to the
store. We have to go to the store. After we get back from the store, maybe play World of Warcraft or Valheim or something. In Valheim, you know what we have to do next, right?
We have to beat the next boss or whatever.
No. Well, we can. We can go beat the next boss, but that's not what we probably should do.
What should we do?
We should get on a boat.
And get more tin?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Hunt down a serpent?
Nope.
Kill ourselves?
Yes.
Okay. I'm on board. Okay, let's go. Alright!
Anyway, if one wants to join us out in those treacherous waters.
That sounds awful.
We have to go around the ocean biome, and we have to find the thing. It'll make killing the serpent doable.
Are you talking about the stupid coral
The bits
or
of
whatever.
barnacles, yeah. We have to go find them. We can get them now. We are literally no reason we can't. And they will make us able to kill the serpent. And when you can kill the serpent, then you can, farm it for meats.
I see. Okay. Well, that was it for today's Nerdcast. And Zach, tell them where to find you.
I am at raziosomething.com, raziosomething on Facebook, and raziosomething on Twitter. I am also the editor of this podcast, and if you've noticed recently, the VOD version has suddenly become slightly better because now it has a musical track accompanying it.
Ooh.
It's just Bach, though, so, don't look for anything special if you've already heard Bach.
Okay. Zach is, in fact, our editor, and he's doing a great job editing every podcast together. All right, Juan, tell him about yourself.
I exist and do things on occasion.
Okay. Okay, and then you can find me at StupidNerdman.tv on Twitch. Twitch.com/StupidNerdman.tv, and also you can find this on Stupid Nerdcast YouTube channel. So remember to subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.